Hello, wealthy family, and welcome to today's video. You know, I love Thursdays full of prosperity. So, today we are going to talk about money and what are some things that you can do when you don't have any money. So, and some things, and these are things you can do right now, today. If you choose to do so, you can do it today, and you will start to see results slowly. Okay. So, of course, these are all pointers that I've done myself, that I've seen work for me. And before I dive into the tips, I want to give you a little background about my mentality with money and my relationship with money. So, growing up, I was raised by my mother. My father was not really around in my life, like, not at all. I knew he existed, I knew he was alive. I kind of sort of knew where he was, but he wasn't really around, and he didn't provide any financial support. So, it was my mother, and she worked, and she also did a lot of side jobs. You know, she was a bit of an entrepreneur, bit of a hustler. You know, she may not like that word, but that's what she was, because she had a lot of side stuff going. And then for health wise and also for his children, she would also be home. So growing up, I mean, I never knew what was in our bank account. I didn't know about savings. I just knew that, you know, if I was hungry, I may not have had a huge selection, but I had food I could go eat. You know, I never had to, you know, eat cereal and water, right? My mom made sure we were fed. Lights are always on, things of that nature. But I wasn't getting like the newest fashion trend clothes and newest shoes or things like that. However, I always had the privilege of traveling. Traveled a lot. I traveled to Europe. I traveled to the Caribbean. I've traveled around the United States. I grew up in Miami, and we would always come up to Central Florida and go to the theme parks and things of that nature, like all the time, like every year when I was growing up. It was awesome. So I knew what it was like to live a life where you could have excitement and enjoyment, but I never quite knew how to build up the funds in order to keep that excitement and enjoyment going. And when I did move out my mother's house, it was not on the best of terms. You know, there was no sit down, let me give you the facts of life. I kind of picked it up on myself to be like, you know what, I'm out of here. Let's blow this joint. Let's go. And you know, I had my children young, so you know, I had them I had to worry about, and raising my three children young on a not, you know, $1,800 a month. That was before I got with my ex-husband. It was not something that was conducive to the lifestyle that I wanted to live. Let's just say that. And sometimes I would have difficulties keeping the lights on or keeping money in savings. And then as I grew and said, you know what, I need a change, then I would be able to keep a minimal amount of savings. But I always knew I wanted more. I always knew I was deserving of more. So let's fast forward. Now I'm looking for something that was going to pay me more, right? My job that I was working when I moved to where I am now in Central Florida, they sold to a bigger company. And when that company came in, they wanted to change up our duties and change all this stuff and then cap our pay at, you know, where you'd only be making like $2,200 a month. And I was like, wait, so I'm supposed to stay here for the rest of my days and I'm never going to make more than $2,200 a month? That's not going to fly. It may work for right now, but I know in the future I'm worth more than that. I'm barely able to save anything. How am I going to be able to do stuff with my children? And that was my greatest blessing in disguise, me leaving that job and my husband supporting me. Thank you for your support always, baby, if you're watching. I love you so much. So I knew I was better than that. And when I went looking for answers to my questions, I came across the most wonderful information to where I partnered with this company. I'm also a financial educator. So the company that I'm with now still, they helped me see that wealth can be attained by anybody. They helped me shape my mindset that wealth is not selected for the few. You just have to have financial literacy. You just have to know how to capitalize off the things out here. And I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. So that opened my horizon, and the rest was just a floodgate. Just the floodgates just started coming in, okay? So I'm going to give you some tips, things that you can do right now if in the event you have no money. And keep in mind, all these things that I started doing when I quit my job. So I had no personal income coming in. We had 5 children at home. My husband was a sole breadwinner. He's an amazing provider, and he did so off his own, or does so off his own grit, his own muscle, his own strength. He hasn't had a job in almost 20 years, okay? So you can do this without having a job. You can do these things and start bringing these things, and it'll be there, because that's just the way the universe works. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you know that everything is energy. I've made a video about money energy before. Everything is energy, all right? So money, as we know it now, is just the collective's idea, right? Humankind's idea of whatever country you're in, right? That what the government has decided is money. We have collectively agreed that it holds value, okay? Money changes. It is not the same everywhere. Back in the day, they used to use pebbles and, metals and, barter systems. Foods, animals were money, right? Some countries right now have their money, their currency that they use backed up with gold, so it's actually worth something, and some countries do not, okay? And it will surprise you who it is, okay? But overall, money, paper, metal, gold, whatever it may be, money is just energy. So one, I came to stand on that foundation that money is just energy. 2, I had to change my mindset, my thinking about money, because growing up in a religious household, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, we were always told to give God's things to God and Caesar's things to Caesar, right? Meaning, don't be a lover of material things. God doesn't need much. You can't take it with you. Don't store it up. And if you're trying to be like God, then you're just going to live bare minimum, right? So I had to dispel that idea, because I have expensive taste. I like expensive things. I like to decorate, and I didn't want to feel that I was now unholy or ungodlike because I like these things. I wouldn't work solely to accumulate these things, but if I wanted to buy something nice and have it, I felt, damn it, I deserved it, right? So I had to change that mindset, okay, about money and how I felt about it. Because again, money is energy. So if every time when I got money, if I was like, oh, money's the root of all evil, can't hold on to this, right? I don't want to be evil. I can't save it because I can't take it with me. As soon as I earn it, it got to go right back out. Oh, I have to serve it. I have to save everybody, serve everybody, do this and do that. If I continuously did that, if I continuously operated with money in that way, it would have continued to elude me, right? So you have to watch your mentality and how you feel about money. I changed the way I felt about money. And I did that by affirming, saying affirmations regarding money, and then just learning the history about money and seeing how it changes all the time. Money always changes. It's always changing. And then all these rag to riches, all the rag to riches stories about, you hear of these billionaires that dropped out of college or started these businesses from scratch or things of that nature, right? They had nothing. And although some of them may have had a silver spoon, there's plenty of people out there that had nothing and got it from the grit, right? So I started saying, what makes them different than me? Nothing. They're not better than I am, right? And then I coupled that feeling by affirming to myself, right, rewriting my subconscious mind and saying all of God's wealth flows to me every single day. I am so happy and grateful now that I am earning more money than I know what to do with. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm earning a consistent 5-figure income monthly. I am so happy and grateful now that all the money that I use returns to me in a never-ending cycle of increase and enjoyment forever. Ashe. Now, that last thing I just said, that last affirmation, I actually wrote that. I still have it because I still say it. I have that in my wallet, okay? And I guess that can be the third pointer. I would change the language that I used around money. Instead of saying, I have to go pay this bill, I got to go spend this money, I have to go do this, do that, and just kind of dismiss money, I started saying that affirmation. I would use money because money is a tool. So all of the money that I use returns to me in a never-ending cycle of increase and enjoyment forever. Ashe. Every time I used it, whether I was using $1 or $1,000, I said it every time. And I started seeing it coming back to me in a never-ending cycle. It started off by, I would use $10 at the store to go buy some food. And I would get a random $10 cash app like a couple hours later. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Someone just bought me lunch. I appreciate you, right? One time we bought a new sofa, and the amount of money that we used on the sofa, someone Zelle paid it to us. The exact dollar amount. Because it comes back to us in a never-ending cycle, right? Things like that happen every day. Unfamiliar things, paranormal things, miracles, whatever it is you want to call it, is normal. It happens every day. That's because the universe is behind you, right? So that's the fourth tip, I believe, right? Believing that the universe, or knowing that the universe is behind everything that I do. The universe is always conspiring in my favor. I don't care what anyone else does. I don't care what anyone else says. I don't care what anyone else thinks about me, because I know the universe got my back. And although I may not see the things, I may not always see everything that's happening, I know that the universe does. And the universe will guide me. So as soon as I started feeling the universe is always conspiring in my favor and is sending me all the wealth that I need to accomplish the goals that I have, because your girl got big goals. When I started knowing that, my whole life started changing. And then the fifth thing I started doing was touching my goals, touching my dreams, paying myself first, physically and mentally, okay? So I set a percentage of however much money I earn, regardless of what it is. I don't care if I earned $10 or, again, if I earned $1,000 in one whop. I always had a percentage, okay? And I take that set percentage and I put it to the side. So let's say I earned $1,000 and my percentage was 10%. That $100 before I do anything else goes right into my account where I want it to go, okay? And then that other $900, all right, I'm gonna do what it is that I need to do, pay these bills or whatever the case may be. But I paid myself first. And I allotted some of those funds that I used to pay myself first to do the things I want to do. Let's say there was a new restaurant I wanted to go try, or I want to take a weekend trip to the beach, or I want to, take a trip back home to Miami. Whatever it is, maybe I want this expensive bottle of wine or whatever, right? I would say, okay, well, I'm going to take a percentage of the funds that I have where I paid myself physically and go touch my dreams. So I can start living in that and saying, you know what, now that all of God's wealth flows to me, I can do this all the time. I can buy that